Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I'm gonna be reviewing Londontown Lakur's Hot Tropic collection. So big thank you to Beyond Polish for actually sending me this collection in PR. I know this came out several months ago at this point, but I honestly think now is such a perfect time to enjoy these deeper but still bold and beautiful summer colors. This is also my first time trying Londontown Lakur, so I was really excited about that because I have seen this brand before and have always heard good things about the formulas, and this color palette is just so up my alley, especially for the time of year. So as always, I will save more of my thoughts for the end after comparisons. For now, let's get into the swatches. The first shade we have is Heat Wave, and this one is described as a burnt orange. So while I don't think I necessarily agree with that description, normally when I think of burnt oranges, I think of a much darker and warmer kind of shade. This one still is a pretty warm orange, and I absolutely love that, especially for this time of year. So this one gave really great coverage on the first coat. You can see it's pretty even. There are some light spots and you can still make out my nail line. So it is like a borderline crelly kind of formula, but at the same time it did feel very opaque and creamy. So this one was fully opaque for me in 2 coats, and I just love this color. Again, I'm just a big fan of orange for the summertime, and this one is just so nice with how warm it is. It's just so rich and juicy. The next shade we have is Tipsy Mermaid, and this one is described as a parakeet green, which I think is so adorable. I've never seen that used as a description before, and I just love it so much. It's definitely very accurate. So this one, again, had such a beautiful formula. It just was so nice and creamy, so easy to apply, especially with the paddle brushes. It just is so perfectly shaped to hug your cuticles, and I don't know what that little black speck was. I ended up plucking it out with some tweezers and just resumed my coat, but yeah, this was fully opaque in 2 coats. Such a lush, vibrant lime green. I love it. Next up we have Flushed Cheeks, and this one is described as a sun-kissed blush. No surprise, this one is my favorite from the collection. I just think this color is so flattering. I don't even know how else to describe it. I feel like it just is such a rich and almost muted jewel tone kind of color, but not quite at the same time, because it does feel kind of like a bright corally shade too. You'll see when I do some comparisons, it is picking up a little bit brighter than it actually is. I am just obsessed with it either way. I just, again, think this is such a flattering shade, so perfect for this time of year, and again, another super creamy, dreamy formula. The next shade we have is Teeny Kini, and this one is described as a fruity sangria. So this one was a surprise favorite for me because I just am normally not the biggest fan of red leaning purple shades, and I feel like this one is just such a good mix between a bright fuchsia with a little bit of like purple undertones. And this is another one that just took me by surprise with how much I loved the color. I would say this one is definitely more on the jewel tone side compared to Flushed Cheeks, but it's just so stunning either way. Again, it had an amazing formula, so smooth, easy to apply, and fully opaque in 2 coats. And rounding out the collection, we have Violet Hibiscus, and this one is just described as a deep ultraviolet. So this one is picking up a little bit brighter on camera. I think there's just like a touch of mutedness to it, but it's still pretty accurate color-wise. And I was kind of surprised that I just wasn't really feeling this one because, like I said with the last shade, I normally am gravitated more towards the blue leaning purples, but I just was really feeling the warmer shades in this collection. But that being said, this one still had a really lovely formula. It was a little bit more on the crelly side, especially on the first coat. I think there was a few more light spots than some of the other shades, but it was still fully opaque in 2. And here's the collection all together. I just cannot get over this lineup. I love this color palette so much. It's just so rich, so beautiful, and just so perfect for the month of August. So moving on to comparisons, we're starting with Heat Wave and looking at it next to Olive Ab's Golden Hour, which is the closest shade to being a dupe. I know in the bottle they look like one-to-one dupes, but on the nail I feel like you can tell a slight difference. Well, hopefully you can tell the difference, where Heat Wave is just a tiny bit warmer and maybe a step or two darker, but it's definitely warmer. But these two are definitely very close. Next, for Tipsy Mermaid, the closest green that I had to this one was Cirque's Matcha from their Gourmand collection earlier this year. This one is definitely really similar, but I would say that Cirque's Matcha is a lot brighter or maybe more vibrant than Tipsy Mermaid. That one is a little bit darker, but just more dusty in general. So hopefully you can see the difference here, especially when I bring my finger a little closer towards the camera. I feel like you can see the contrast a bit better, but they do look similar in the bottle. Not dupes though. Then for Flush Cheeks, I was kind of surprised I didn't have anything more similar. So here it is next to Olive Ab's Crake, which I absolutely love for the summertime, but that one is more of a true brighter coral kind of shade, so it's not as pink. So I thought for a slightly pinkier color, I could show it next to Static Nails Flamingo Rum Club. And this one is a little bit more similar, or at least I thought it was going to be similar based off of the bottle shot, maybe just a little lighter, but on the nail they look super different. So you can see just how deeper Flush Cheeks ends up drying down, and that's why I was kind of saying it sort of gives a jewel tone vibe. I'm not really sure if that's accurate, but I still love them all. Next, for Teeny Kini, I had to see this next to Olive Ab's Slater from last year's Summer Nostalgia collection. That one is a bright cerise cream, so it is definitely brighter, but a little bit more on the hot pink leaning side next to Teeny Kini, which you can see is just almost like the jewel tone version of Slater. So yeah, they're definitely not dupes, but I love both of them. I think they're so beautiful and rich for this time of year. And lastly, for Violet Hibiscus, I had to see this next to Olive Ab's Afterglow from the recent Summer Sunset collection. These definitely look like they could be dupes in the bottle. I feel like they're looking a lot more similar on camera especially, but once you see them on the nail, they are not dupes. It's kind of like the inverse of the last pair, where one is darker than the other, but they're basically the same kind of color. So yeah, I'd love to know which ones you like more, the brighter shades or the slightly deeper versions. So that wraps up my swatches and comparisons for Londontown's Hot Tropic collection. So as always, I would love to know what your thoughts are on this collection, especially when it first came out. Were you immediately drawn to it, or were you kind of like me, where you're like, it's a beautiful color palette, but I'm just not really feeling it right now because it's a little bit deeper and you're just into the brighter neon kind of shades for summer? Let me know, because yeah, like I said, I was immediately drawn to this palette. I think it's just such a beautiful range of shades, very tropical and lush, but for how deep they were, I was like, this is gonna be so perfect for the month of August. So I am just so excited to finally be sharing this collection on my channel. And I had such a great experience with Londontown. This is, again, my first time trying them, and I was just so impressed with the formulas. I love the brushes, just overall really great experience. So let me know if you've tried them before and if you have any other favorite Londontown shades or other favorite collections, because now I'm like, I can't wait to see what they put out in the fall. I don't know if they've already announced it. I feel like a little behind on these like fall releases coming out. But yeah, overall, loved this experience, this whole collection. Definitely making me enjoy what little left of summer there is. So yeah, even though I know so many people are already moving on to the fall shades and the cooler temps, I am just enjoying these for the rest of summer, which is probably gonna be like 2 more weeks. But let me know any and all thoughts that you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.